Today, Tessie's pulmonologist called. I was surprised when it was actually her doctor and it wasn't one of the respiratory therapists. It was the second time in all of the history of all of the sleep studies that have been done that it was the doctor that called. The first time that the doctor called, I was sitting in another office in St. Louis about to talk to another neurologist when my phone rang, and it was her neurologist back in Michigan. And we were down in St. Louis for a study, for an autism study. It was her very, very concerned neurologist because the results of the first sleep study had come back and he was extremely alarmed, and he basically told us to go to the hospital, and I asked him if there was any way we could wait a few days till we got back to Michigan because I was worrying about insurance issues and I was worried about being trapped in St. Louis in the hospital. He said, yeah, I guess just tell the neurologist there what she has, and he had me write down a few things because the neurologist wasn't in the room yet, so I couldn't give her the phone, and so I did. And he just said to tell her that she had central apnea. If he had said some of the other things that they were worried about at that point, I think we probably would have ended up at the hospital there. But we waited and we ended up in the pediatric ICU and we came back home. That was the last time I got a call from a doctor about a sleep study. This call was much milder. So this call was not bad. This call was not that sort of a call. The doctor called, and the first thing she wanted to tell me was that she is absolutely certain that Tessie does not have congenital central hypoventilation syndrome, which is a very good thing. That was the thing that we were concerned about because, first off, we were concerned of it because the results of Tessie's very first sleep study made it look like she could have it. Basically, when they wrote up the results of her first sleep study, they said that she had it, and so that was why I've been worried about that all that time. Based on the results of her recent sleep studies, she was like, absolutely not. There's no way that she has it because she doesn't have high CO2 levels anymore. Her CO2 levels are perfect. We don't need to worry about that. However, she said that the sleep study from Saturday paints a different picture than the last sleep study that she had done. She was writing a prescription for Tessie to go back on oxygen because not only was Tessie back over the minimum number of central apneas for getting her diagnosis of central apnea back, which we never really doubted because of what we were seeing at home, but which pulmonology did doubt after the April sleep study, but because she had DSATs that put her oxygen levels below 89% for over a minute, and so for that reason, and also based on what we've seen at home in that time, they are prescribing her to be on a very small amount of oxygen. It was like an eighth. She's on an eighth, I think it's an eighth of a liter of oxygen. So it's not even an oxygen concentrator. It's a tank of oxygen that's next to her bed that is going into like a little tiny Tessie-sized nasal cannula right now. That is the update. It has definitely been a whirlwind these last 2 years. 2 years ago in December, she was diagnosed for the first time with central apnea. 2 years ago right now, we were waiting for her first sleep study. She was in a neurology appointment. I told her neurologist that I had told a bunch of other doctors that I was seeing her stop breathing and that they all told me it was periodic pauses in breathing for an infant. And he said, do you want to go on guessing or do you want to know? And a part of that was also that she fell asleep during his exam, and he felt that that was a little bit odd for even a 6-month-old to fall asleep during a neurology exam, along with the fact that she was sleeping 20 hours a day, 21 hours a day at 6 months old. He ordered up a sleep study, and that was the beginning. It took like 2 months to get in for the sleep study. Anyways, that's the latest. She's back on oxygen, which I don't love. I don't love that she's on oxygen. Although she didn't fight it as hard as she used to. I waited till she went to sleep. I put her chest strap on her while she was awake, and that has her heart monitor and her breathing, her respirations on it, and she's fine with that. I mean, she doesn't love it, but she tolerates it. Then I waited till she went to sleep, and then I put her oximeter on her as soon as she went to sleep, and then I waited a little bit longer, not much, like a minute longer. I came in and I got her nasal cannula. I put it on and she woke up just a tiny bit. But when she realized that the nasal cannula at home doesn't have something that hangs down, the nasal cannulas in sleep studies have like a little thing that hangs down in front of your mouth. And so when she could suck on her thumb with her nasal cannula in, she just like rolled over and went back to sleep. That is the latest. She still has central apnea. She is on oxygen. I guess that sums it up. I guess that the one thing that this does mean is that that was not her last sleep study, that she has probably at least one more sleep study down the road. If at 3 years old, does she still have central apnea? Or is she going to actually outgrow it? So we'll see what happens next, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.